What's up guys, this is Balázs from RacingBrick. I have a very special announcement for you today. I decided to stop reviewing LEGO as the sets became way too complicated for me and there's simply too many of them. Therefore I will only focus on Playmobil going forward. As you see, I emptied my shelves. They are ready to welcome my new collection that is already on its way. I ordered everything I found online. Luckily, this one arrived early, so this will be the very first Playmobil set to review, the 70317 Back to the Future DeLorean. Let's get started. Okay, sorry folks, it was only a weak attempt to brighten up your day on the 1st of April, but this video will really include this box here, which is actually my very first experience ever with a Playmobil set. I never had any of these. I was born and raised as a LEGO kid, so it will be definitely interesting. But it won't be alone. I will compare these three guys, LEGO versus Playmobil versus diecast. Let's see who wins. Before we start, I need to mention again that today is the 1st of April, which means one thing: this cool LEGO set is already available for purchase. A lot of you asked where can you buy it. Based on what I saw so far, it is only available on lego.com and in official LEGO stores. The only third-party retailer listing I managed to find mentioned the 1st of July, so this set seems to have a 3 months exclusivity at LEGO. Anyway, you can find all links to the major regional LEGO sites in my blog post that is linked in the top right corner and in the comments. I recorded the video this morning and as I saw LEGO was well prepared this time, it's still not out of stock anywhere, but if you want it on day 1 then don't wait too long. I will of course update my blog post with any additional sources I find online. So, you've seen all the details of this one already in my previous videos. I also showed you the highlights of this model, so let's focus on the Playmobil set first. The box looks nice and flashy with lots of things happening on it. We can see the big bold Back to the Future logo on top. The car itself is the main attraction, of course, in the middle. We get 3 figures: Marty, Dr. Brown and Einstein as well. There's a smaller image showing the opening doors and folding wheels, and there's a nice plutonium case at the bottom. It is already recommended from the age of 5, we get 64 pieces in the box. It will be interesting to see how difficult is the assembly. There are even more details of the different features at the back and the recommendation of some sort of character pack from 1955 that can be bought separately. Here we can see all the characters and accessories. It seems to be way less than 64 pieces, so I guess at least the car will require some assembly. As you see, it needs 2 AAA batteries. I'm really looking forward to see the light up action. Now let's see what's inside. Okay, I wanted to open this as a regular LEGO box, but I think I failed. It needs to be opened on multiple sides. I try to be careful as I still might need the box, it's a tricky thing. So here we are, box opened. We get 4 plastic bags, one separate thing that might be the battery holder perhaps, and the car itself. There are no labels on the bags, so I will open all of them. Here are the contents, it's a pretty mixed bag. We have parts from tiny to fairly big ones, a sticker sheet and the manual. The sticker sheet is interesting, it's much thicker than a LEGO sticker sheet and it has a sort of matte finish, looks nice and pretty detailed. Let's see the manual. It has an intro section in 4 languages, which is a nice attention to detail, a few photos from the movie, a page with the toy itself, and the next section is already the assembly. I have to admit the whole thing is very different compared to the LEGO building instructions. We always see the full assembly, there are no close-up photos, so it might be a challenge to figure out which part do we need to add exactly. Some of them are tiny compared to the whole car. All pieces have some codes indicated, but there's no part list or anything similar, so I'm not sure what is their purpose. Perhaps to order some replacement parts if something gets lost. The placement of the stickers are shown on the same pages, but we don't see the actual sticker applied, which is again a bit weird. Here comes the battery box and the lights effects are explained, then the folding wheels and again some guessing game at the end with the stickers. Now let's start building. The first item is the Y-handle switch for the time circuit switch console. I'm sure the hand of a 5-year-old would fit better here, but I highly doubt a kid would have the strength to push this thing in place. It really requires a significant amount of force. And I'm sure these toys are not designed to be disassembled. This thing won't move ever again. First stickers to apply. Here comes the one with the rear lights and the iconic license plate. Due to the thick paper of the sheet, it's a bit challenging to remove the sticker from the paper. It's the same with the smaller one. I think it's a good idea to use some tools for the positioning. I won't film the whole process, just a few highlights. Time to assemble the wheels. Not sure how obvious it is, but the size of the front and rear tires is different. They do have a different number, a single digit difference, but might have been missed by a kid. Meanwhile, having two tire sizes, just like on the real one, is a nice attention to detail. The tires are quite challenging to assemble though, again showing that adult support is required for the assembly. Here's the front flux band, then the plutonium canister. The wiring on the sides is a rubber-like material, flexible but tricky to install. The stickers for the rear flux bands are luckily separated in three pieces. They are easier to apply this way. It's a cool print by the way with a transparent hose allowing the blue plastic to shine through. Here comes the battery compartment, you need a screwdriver to open it. Two AAA batteries go in, then we can test how it works. There are 5 LEDs on the top that will light the different parts of the car, and they are actually surprisingly bright. I don't suggest to look into them directly. The battery holder goes in place. This clip is again super strong, you really cannot remove it once it's in place, but I guess there's no need for that, since you can change the batteries this way as well. The piece representing the tachy impulse generator is pretty loose, it falls out very easily. So, the last page is for the assembly of the figures and the accessories, and we are finished. Here is the car with the figures and the accessories. We even got 2 spare parts, which is a nice addition. So, let's see the car first. For the first sight, it's a decent DeLorean with a fair amount of details all around. Lots of gadgets at the rear. We also have the lightning rod and the plutonium canister can be removed from the reactor. The doors open, and the interior is fairly detailed as well. The time circuit display with the dates is here, but interestingly there are no stickers on any of the other gauges. There's the flux capacitor on the bulkhead, and we have the Christmas tree as well, which is pretty cool. So, the main feature is obviously the light function. By pressing this button here once, the lights start flashing, lighting up the flux bands, and also the flux capacitor has its iconic flickering light, looks great. Pressing the button again switches to a constant light instead of the flickering. Interestingly, the first mode also switches to a constant light after about 15 seconds, and then switches off again after the same time. The second mode stays on for about 2 minutes. The other feature is the folding wheels. You need to push these levers next to the wheels, and then when you fold it there's a slight click. The car looks pretty cool this way, but I have a few concerns with this feature. First of all, whatever holds the wheel in folded position is much weaker than the other end, so you can easily kick the wheel out of this mode when you play with it. Meanwhile, pushing back to upright position requires a fair amount of force, and it goes in place with a huge crack. It's not a click anymore. So, the function itself is not that comfortable to operate. My other concern might sound like nitpicking. The flying mode was only introduced at the end of the first movie when Doc comes back from the future. This upgrade was installed together with Mr. Fusion replacing the nuclear reactor, but we did not get that one for the set. It could have been nice to include one extra piece for that as well. About the figures and the accessories, it's very cool to see Einstein besides Marty and Doc Brown. All of them have nice details and a few cool accessories like Einstein's clock, the remote for the DeLorean, the iconic camera or Marty's skateboard. The plutonium case also looks nice, we get 2 canisters. Unfortunately there's nothing inside to hold them in place, not the safest way of plutonium storage. I had a small anomaly on the outside as well, the cutout on the top sticker does not seem to line up with that embossed rectangle. The figures can sit in the car after some fiddling, their position explains why that part of the steering wheel had to be removed. The doors can be closed with the figures sitting in the car. It's a bit challenging though to put Einstein in as he is in a standing position. So, here are all 3 DeLoreans side by side. The Lego version is the biggest one, the Playmobil and the diecast version are surprisingly close in scale. I'm sure some of you will say that the comparison is not fair, but that's part of my point. These are very different products with a different target audience, but a Back to the Future or DeLorean fan might find all of them in a shop and would need to decide which one to pick. Let's add their price to the equation before evaluating them. The Lego version is 170 euros, the Playmobil one can be bought around 40 euros depending on the site, and I bought this NECA diecast model for 50 euros on Zavi.com, although it's not available at the moment. So, from this perspective, the Lego version is about 3-4 times more expensive than these two. If you are looking only for a display model, then this difference can easily push you towards them, and I would totally understand that. There are of course much more expensive diecast models or kits to assemble, so it's not the full spectrum of DeLoreans here, but I will focus on them now. There are some pros and cons for each. The diecast version is more detailed in general, although some areas are not that nice, like the flux bands for example. The only functional feature here is the opening doors, meanwhile the Playmobil one has more tricks. I think the light function is a big plus. Unfortunately, the quality of the Playmobil's plastic cannot compete with the diecast model. Honestly, I expected more. The big grey surfaces has these weird patterns. This makes the plastic look quite cheap. The LEGO version is a different category from my perspective, as it offers a way richer building experience that the other two does not have. It also has the versatility to reuse the bricks later on, or you can easily modify or upgrade it if you prefer. You can also build all three versions of the car from the movies, unlike these two, but on the other hand, it might lack some details, and due to the limitation of the bricks, it might be less realistic here and there. So, if your budget is tight and you are looking for a display piece only, then I would pick one of them. It's up to you if you prefer less functions and the diecast look, or you are happy with this average plastic and the additional functions. If you are looking for a cheap playset, then the Playmobil version might be the winner, although some parts are surprisingly loose and can be easily lost during playing. The assembly process might require adult support, and the wheels are also challenging to operate. If you are a LEGO fan looking for the joy of building and having an impressive display piece at the end, then yeah, there are no questions, even if the door does not stay in position, like on these two. Does it worth the price? Well, if you are a die-hard fan, then you won't care about the price tag at all. If it does matter, then I suggest to wait a few months. As I see it today, you are only able to get it directly from LEGO at full price, but during the summer or especially towards the end of the year sales, I'm sure there will be at least 20-30% discounts or even more. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to check the links in the blog post if you are interested in any of these products or if you want to watch my previous DeLorean videos. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. I also suggest to subscribe with notifications as more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time. Bye bye.